Hi everyone, welcome back to Hit Your Numbers. This is part 2 of our extra special episodes with Richard Washington. If you haven't listened to part 1, go and do that right now. In this show, Richard breaks down the 4 types of hires companies are making today. Are you a subtractor, adder, divider, or multiplier? Find out. He also has some of the best CV advice I've ever heard. And don't forget, in last week's show, we gave away a discount code for the Sales University Advanced and Elite memberships. So if you haven't listened to that episode, go back and do it now. If not, enjoy the show.
Back to the topic of why we're here, because I feel like we could probably talk for the rest of the day. Now the journey that you're on, you're helping organizations find great talent, and you're doing some really cool stuff with like changing the way that we think about things, which we'll get into. But maybe just kick us off, like for the AEs that are listening, what are you seeing like the top 1 to 2 mistakes that they're running into with their CV specifically?
So I'm going to answer that very tactically, and then we'll talk about where I would actually start, because I wouldn't start with my CV. So
okay, great.
You know this as a hiring manager who's hired lots of salespeople during your time and worked with lots of people who are in the transition, right? What's the first section of a CV? The first title that we're going to go and fill in? What is it?
Yeah, like it's usually like a summary, right? It's like, here's my name, here's how you contact me, and then like here's like this elevator pitch about me.
Yeah, exactly. So if you go to any CV template, first title of the section that we're going to fill in is normally personal profile.
Yeah.
James, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, you can.
James, what's your personal profile?
I'd have to pull out my CV, which I've not used for about 7 years.
Yeah, but what is it? What is your personal profile?
That's a really good question.
Is it a good question?
Well, it's a good question for this conversation. It highlights the irrelevance of it on the CV for sure.
Exactly.
Right. It's like a sales team's proposal deck. It's like, here's the first slide of our executive team, and the second is our VC. Like, it's pointless, right?
The first thing that a template, and it literally, if you go to like Canva and you type in CV template
or any Google search,
anything, the first thing is personal profile. And I'm like, if someone asked me, Richard, what's your personal profile? I'd be like, what the are you talking about, mate? It doesn't mean anything. So we then spend our time going, right, what is my personal profile? And then everyone writes the same thing. So everyone writes in that personal profile section. What do they write, James?
Whatever's in there, they just change the placeholders out to make it a bit more like them. I don't like golf, but I like Formula 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I'm coachable.
Exactly. I work well in an individual or part of a team. I'm a dynamic, hardworking individual. Blah, blah, blah.
You're making me shiver.
Yeah, and it's in a block of text. Like who's got time to read blocks of text anymore, right? If you don't give me bullet points, I haven't got time, right? And the data there is the average amount of time that someone would spend looking at your CV to decide if you as a human being are good enough to work in their company is 6 seconds. So if the first thing they read is personal profile, and then it's just this block of text, immediately they're just going to skim that. They're not going to read it. So if it's not personal profile, it might say professional summary or, professional statement. And it's like, so you're, again, a rubbish thing. You're going to try and what? Professional summary. Like, again, if James, what's your professional summary? You're like, what? Why? So my first piece of advice is don't follow the template, because the template is not designed to help you win. The great thing is everyone's following the template. So as soon as you change this, you're going to stand out. I would change the first section's title. So a great rule of politics and communication is if you don't like the question, change the question. Change it to the challenge I'm looking for or the challenge I seek, and make it all about them. So you wouldn't say the challenge I'm seeking is I'm looking to work in a really flexible hybrid environment with a 59K salary and a really great training program. Me. So you would go, I'm looking for the opportunity to help a business who's struggling with quality pipeline, who hasn't really understood how to identify ICP customers, who isn't doing a good enough job of discovery to identify opportunities to grow deals. I'm looking to work with a team that we're going to push each other forward, and I'm going to bring a level of energy to that team and bring some experience, but I'm also here to grow. I want to be part of a team where we win together and push each other. So you can write it down. It could be specifics. It could be, I love working with early stage companies. So for me to be part of the growth from seed through to Series B is a career goal for me, of mine. I've got a very strong experience as a salesperson. My next step is to step into a sales lead role where I lead from the front and develop a team. It can be about that, but make it all about them. Bullet points, 3 to 5 maximum.
Yeah, love that.
After that, next section would be, we need to put some credibility, because if we're talking about what we want, we need to now just say that we're a person of substance. We're worth listening to. We have some credibility. We have some track record, some lived experience. So the next section would be proudest achievements or major achievements. And then whatever you've written in the challenge that you're looking for, you can then put 3 to 5 bullet points with some very demonstrable evidence, highly measurable, very specific facts about you and your achievements that make someone go, oh, this person's done it before, you know? I achieved this revenue, specifics, not percentages, specifics in terms of revenue against this quota. I broke into these 5 net new logos. I grew the average order value for this. I improved my win rate from this to this. I helped to recruit and train these people who achieved these things. It could be about scope. It could be about I worked across the UK and the Spanish site, and then we opened in North America, and I was there for a 1-month period to help go and inject the DNA into that business unit. And then that business unit was number 1 in the world after 2 months or something like that, you know. Or you completed the, you know, sales university off my own accord because I really want to step up into this next level of my career. So I'm a self-starter. That immediately, if someone's got those 2 sections when they're reading your resume, they're going to be like, oh my God, this person's incredible.
Yeah.
They describe what they're looking for. And if it's my challenges they're describing, I love them because it's like, you get me, you understand me. And that's what sales is. And then it's like, oh my God, they're a person of credibility. You almost don't need to worry about the rest of your CV. It could just be a list of your jobs with a couple of key bullet points around key achievements and scope. And then my final piece of advice would be the last thing on a CV, on every CV in the world, is what, James?
Well, qualification, surely.
Probably qualifications or hobbies.
Yeah.
Or
hobbies or my interests. What I love doing at the weekend is spending time with friends and family.
Exactly. Or this line, which I love,
fantastic ones.
References available on request. That's the last thing they're going to read. If it was this is a sales letter or a website, the last thing is references available on request. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah.
What would you
Who doesn't do references? Right?
Exactly. So you could put some references on your resume if you wanted to. Why not? I've done that from time to time. But what would you put at the very bottom of a website page, James, that was looking to convert people to a next action?
Yeah, it's obviously be a call to action, right? Absolutely.
100%. Finish with the CTA. The CTA is surely there if it's relevant that you would have a conversation to explore in more detail how you can help them solve those challenges.
And look, you nailed that, and I just want to pull that apart a little bit there. But again, this is a nice way for us to connect this back to the sales motion. Let's talk about business case or cost justification. We're not going to have a 20-page, hopefully a 20, 30-page deck out there for a proposal where the first 15 slides are, here's our corporate offices around the world and here's our executive team and stuff, right? That's going to be your personal profile part. Yeah. And then the next bit is around like all of the features and functionality that no one cares about either, because the person reading it cares about outcomes. So, you know, when you were speaking there, I wrote, let's shift gears from personal profile to challenges I seek. And then I wrote underneath there, hook people. Because of attention spans caused by social media mainly and busy workloads. And then I wrote major achievements, rehook. It's like a business case. If I want to put my business case and build cost justification around a big order and needs to go in front of an economic buyer, I need to hook them with a powerful opening statement. Usually like some kind of call to action around a cost of inaction. Implement X to recover Y. Right. An executive who's got low attention span, 8 seconds, whatever it might be, they go, that's interesting. Then the next line, it's like good marketing copy. Every line should sell you on the next line. So continuously rehook people till they get to the point where they go, this person's the shit, right? I got to speak to this person. They don't even need the call to action at the bottom because their phone number's at the top and I'm phoning them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for
when
sure.
150, 200, 300 people applying for that role, and you've got personal profile versus challenge I seek, and here's the evidence to support my argument, people are going to be picking up the phone because you just stand out like a sore thumb in a really positive way.
100%. Yeah, exactly. I've coached how many? About 500 executives on this exact framework. So this is the same framework I would give to an executive as well as individual contributors. But it's not where I'd start. So the reason is for that is if you think of a CV as a sales asset, where in the funnel would that live?
Oh, wait. Yeah, right at the very top, right?
Really?
I would say so.
It is there, but should it be? So if you think of it, let's say you are the product, So the big reframe here is that you are the product. You solve a set of challenges. You've got this lived experience of understanding how to solve complex challenges. You are basically a product that people buy,
Yeah.
So if you had this thing called a CV, which is this very detailed view of your past experience, very detailed view of you as a person, where would you put it in your marketing content pack in the funnel? Top, middle, bottom?
Well, I guess the reason I'm seeing that question slightly differently is because I would never use a CV.
Yeah, okay. But unfortunately, I agree. And I would like going, should I just not tell people to do the CV? But I would say having a good CV is a good thing, because sometimes if you're applying for a job, people want to go and see it. But it's not where I'd start. CV, would it be the first thing you'd send out to someone?
Oh no, definitely not. If I was
No,
applying for a role on their website, I'd have to submit it.
Yeah,
But when I'm then going around that and going directly to the hiring manager, absolutely not.
exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a bottom of the funnel asset, right? It's like a person would probably like to see my CV
Mhm.
in preparation for our final interview. But unfortunately, the way that we're taught, and everyone does the same thing, is, oh, I'm looking for a new role.
Yeah.
Either I've just been riffed, or I've been made redundant, or I've just been fired, or I'm just thinking about my next role. What's the first thing I do? Update my CV. It's
Yeah.
like if you were struggling for sales, you wouldn't go, what's the first thing I'm going to do? Improve my product specification document. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny.
The problem with my sales career right now is that I'm just, the problem with my sales right now is that I just don't have enough detail about the exact specifications of what this product can do for a business.
Yeah.
No, of course it wouldn't be. So it's, for me, it's the last thing that you would do. So you can have a good CV, but don't send it out to people. The big mistake that I see people making in their job search is they go, my job search strategy is to send my CV in to apply for jobs.
Yeah.
And then I wait.
Yeah.
So of
But
course
it should help you tell your value story though, right? So then you can take components of it,
Yeah.
like a business case.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to prospect, I'm not going to send them a business case, but I use that to use for my value story.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to take key components and I might do a video
Yeah.
to a hiring manager, say, hey, I'm dead passionate about the mission that you guys are on
Yeah.
because of these reasons. This is the alignment I have, and here's the evidence. If
Yeah.
you're open to a 20-minute conversation where we can
Yeah.
have a chat, I'd love to do that. I
Exactly.
wouldn't send them the CV. I would tell that value story, but I just draw parts out of that playbook. It's more like a playbook or like a doc
Yeah.
that I kind of reference
Yeah.
and pull different parts off for different parts of the interview process.
I love how you're thinking
That's
about it. It
why
becomes
I
this
think about it.
point of truth. So by the time they see the resume, they go, oh, everything that I've seen up until now makes sense. So if you spend the
Yes.
time to say, what is the challenge I seek? Like, who is that for? What are their challenges? What am I uniquely good at? What do I love to do? If you do that thinking, and then you go, why am I a person of credibility? What's my evidence? What's the demonstrable results that I've got there? That thinking sets you up to go, right, now I'm going to need to build my top of the funnel. Because really, the KPI shouldn't be applications, it should be conversations.
Yeah.
So if you're in a job search, KPI is conversations, not applications. I got that from Jacob Warwick, and it's brilliant. And it's so true. He does that for executives. It's exactly the same for reps. So I need to go, right, well, how do I get into conversations? So that's the right question is, what do I want? What's my ICP? Why am I uniquely qualified to solve those challenges? How would they describe those challenges in the marketplace? And then when I reach out to someone, I'm going to talk about them and their challenges. Show that I know them. Show them that I understand their context. Show that I'm not uniquely qualified to go and help them. I'm not going to send my CV.
No, 1,000,000%. I'm just trying to pull this back into a sales context again, just so that everyone can like bring it into context. But I wrote down as you were speaking there, one-to-one versus one-to-many. So the reason a lot of sellers are struggling in the world that we live in now is because everybody's sending out cookie cutter one-to-many messaging.
Yeah.
Hey, we help other sales leaders solve this problem. This is how we do it. Do you want to learn more? And it's overwhelming. Buyers are struggling, like they suffer with buyer's remorse. They're very skeptical because they've been burnt. So it's like, hey, show me you properly get me, and I might give you that 15 minutes I literally have to do that or get some fresh air tomorrow. Right. And it's the same with like when we're recruiting or we're trying to get a role. If I instead sent a one-to-one piece of communication, hey, Rich, I noticed that you're running an enterprise sales process in CRM space or in ERP. I had a quick Google search. There's 1,200 ERP solutions. So I only can imagine that you're struggling to communicate value across a busy marketplace. You're probably facing this problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is our unique way of solving it. If any of what I've said today is even remotely interesting, let's have a quick conversation. So it's the same with you guys. If you've made it to this far, probably one of the biggest takeaways from this part of the conversation is don't just go to LinkedIn, say SDR jobs, quick apply, that's the easy way that everyone's doing it. Instead, go, who do I genuinely want to go and work for?
Yeah.
All right, what fires me up? What's going to drag me out of bed every day?
Yeah.
And then personalize. If you have to send them the CV, personalize your value story back to that organization. So when they open it, they go, this person gets us and I get them.
Yeah.
I have to meet with this person.
Yeah, exactly. And I would genuinely not make the trigger be that they're advertising a job. So I mainly work in early stage, and every early stage business without fail has one problem, which is a lack of ICP pipeline.
Yeah.
All of them. And then they often have a second problem, which is we don't have a very good conversion rate from pipeline to closed one. And then they have we churn. So it's like we don't have enough of the right pipeline. We're not converting enough of the pipeline. And when we win deals, we often churn, and often because of a lack of sales skills, prospecting, all that stuff. So really the right place to start is to say, I'm pretty sure that every business has a problem around what I'm uniquely qualified to do as a salesperson, which is find ideal customers and then be able to speak to their problems and engage in conversations with them, and then understand them and connect and qualify and generate opportunity and sell value. And then I'm able to convert that through to close one revenue. And I make sure that that's a really good client because I hand it over to CS in the right way, and then we cross sell and upsell, and we grow massive deals. So if you can demonstrate to a hiring manager, and I really don't like that language of hiring manager. Really, I never ever in my entire career as a hiring manager once said I'm a hiring manager. So you find the business leader who owns the team, who owns the problem, who has the responsibility for that revenue and that result. Find them and you say, hey, I am pretty sure you're not happy with the quality and volume of your ideal customer pipeline. And you probably aren't converting as much as it to one revenue, and you've probably got a churn problem. Maybe it's because not enough of your salespeople are doing what I'm doing with you right now.
Yeah, 100%. I think you nailed it on that trigger piece. Yeah, it's like I have to go to LinkedIn, find the ones that are hiring today. So you'll know because I hand over or make a lot. I say hand them over, like they're my property to give you. I introduce you to a bunch of AEs that stop by and say, "Hey, do you know of any companies that are hiring that you're working for?" And if I don't, then I, pass him your way. I'm like, this guy, if he's working on anything, it's going to be super exciting. He's also been a sales leader, so he gets what good looks like in terms of org, so we won't like just try and shove you into something. And I think that's one of your unique points, Rich, is that but you're not like a recruiter that's never led teams before and you're like just trying to chuck stuff at a wall because you've been in the role. Right. So I don't want to plug too much there, but I think that's what I quite like about what you do. But one thing that stuck with me years ago was, and I can't remember who said it, but it was like most sales teams like have like 33%, like 1/3 of their team is either going to surprise them and leave, or they're about to get put on a pip or pushed out. And that's just the reality. Sales is tough, and
100%.
let's not get into the conversation about no one gets trained or coached, but like there's just going to be a big chunk of people that are going to be on the way out. So when I'm coaching sellers that want to get a new job or they're going for a big interview or whatever, I'm like, are you sure you want to work with this company? Are you dead passionate about it? Because if not, you're going to struggle to sell it. And they're like, I'm not, to be fair. And I'm like, well, why don't you build a list of like 10, 15, 20 companies that you do anything to go and work with? And then why don't you just build this really compelling messaging and send it to them? Because 9 out of 10 of them probably have 1 or 2 vacancies around the corner. Because somebody's not going to make it. And guess what? You're the first person in differentiating yourself. Because they've not even put the job out in the market, you're the first person in the front door. And again, I can't remember the stat, but it's really, really high. Like the first people that people interact with, they typically buy from. So why would you not want to be that person?
100%. And it's not just negatives. It's not just someone like, and it's true that if when you're a sales leader, right, you know that you've always got a part of your team on a pip. Someone's thinking about leaving, someone's going to be moving on, but you've also got those people who are developing. You're progressing. There's succession planning that needs to happen. And a thing that really sucks if you're in a high performing team is if you're a real star and that business struggles to recruit consistently well, they want to keep you in an IC role. So if you give the hiring manager or the business leader someone who comes into them who's wicked, who like approaches them in a really great way, who sells like they want their team to sell, and they've got someone in their team who's ready to make that step up, or maybe they've already made the step up and they've got a gap, you're going to be like a godsend to them, because they're going to be like, oh, this is amazing. And the more like people that are reaching out to hiring managers doing that type of quality job, the more you enable that person to be able to let the people in their team progress. And that's what everyone wants.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. Look, I want to shift gears now. I really, love what you're talking about at the moment. I don't want to kind of give too much away. I want you to kind of tell us. But you said something the other day about a new way of thinking about talent. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that, where that came from, and why you think a lot of sales leaders should be leveraging it to find great people.
Yeah. So the big challenge that we're trying to overcome here with our clients is that no one can really define what a good hire looks like. So when a business comes to me and says, hey, well, Richard, we're looking for, a founding AE, or we're looking for a sales lead, or we're looking for a head of sales, and I go, well, what are you looking for? They send me their JD, and it's a list of responsibilities. So it's a set of things I want you to own. And often the first thing is, I want you to have 5 years experience of my industry in this type of role. And it's going, right, so what you want is someone who's done exactly what you're looking for them to do in your business before, who's done it for 5 years and would now move to your company on a similar salary. Like
or less.
Or less. What are you going to get? You're not going to get that like person who's killed it in that business and is like on their next stage, and you're not going to go, oh, well, I need a VP sales, but I'm going to take this sales manager. I don't want to be the person who does that next bridge for them. So the whole thing's broken. And often when I ask people, what are you looking for in terms of the person, they say, I want an A player. I want a star. I don't want B players and C players, and then they resurface those Steve Jobs clips from the 80s. And I'm like, cool. So what is an A player? And now every single person that I've ever asked that question to has an answer for me. The problem, James, is that it's never the same answer. So there is no uniform definition of what an A player is. So that's a massive problem. So we've got this language that we use. We want A players, we want stars, but we don't have a way to describe what that is and define what that is, and therefore design the right questions and assessments and score.
Or qualify. Yeah,
exactly.
Qualify them, right?
Exactly.
Define what that looks like in your context.
Exactly. So a lot of people have developed their own, this is what we're looking for. A lot of people haven't, but a lot of people have. And then it's just this real like convoluted, complicated thing that everyone in the business has a different definition of. So you as a hiring manager have your own, but your team don't. And then the different department doesn't. It's a problem. So what I realized is that language isn't helpful. And we try and then use other ways to define what good looks like. And so a lot of businesses go, let's go and plug in these really complex personality profiling tools. Let's go do Myers-Briggs and let's do like dynamics and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is like 56 questions to work out whether someone's one of 16 personality types. Like you learn that stuff and you go, brilliant, I'm a commander. I'm an ENTP. Have you ever used it in hiring? No, of course not, right? So people put these really complicated things, or they do like IQ tests and stuff to see if someone's good enough to work in a sales environment. It's ridiculous. So how can we make it simple? And how can we make it clear? And what I realized is there are 4 types of people that a business can hire. You have adders, subtractors, dividers, and multipliers. And it's an equation. Above the line, adders and multipliers will grow your business, scale your impact. Below the line, subtractors and dividers will shrink your business and shrink your impact. So it's a mathematical equation. What we all want is to grow our business and grow our impact. That's what every founder wants. It's why they started the business. So we really only ever want adders and multipliers. But often we hire subtractors and dividers. And why is that? Often we don't define it. We don't know what we're looking for. So whether someone's a subtractor, an adder, a divider, or a multiplier, for me always comes down to 4 things. Behaviours. And they're called the core 4. Collaborative, ownership, resourcefulness, and execution. Would you like me to break that down?
I'd love to. Go for it. Yeah, go for it. This is great.
So collaboration is, typically in my world, it's startups. We work with pre-seed through to Series B companies. So everyone in that business has to be super collaborative. We're not a 10-person organization where we have created such specific roles that it's paint by numbers. We just need you to color inside the lines. Don't mess up. We're happy with you, right? This is, we're going to work together to achieve a goal. So we want someone that's collaborative, who thinks collaboratively. People love to work with them. Customers love to work with them. They're great team players. They're great leaders.
Yeah.
They are people who get results through others. And there's different levels to that. So you have collaborative, which is the top level. Below that would be cooperative. We work together when we're told to. We cooperate on projects, but the founder has to tell us, that the leader has to tell us. And then we have like compliant, you know, like I'll do it just to avoid being in trouble.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
We want, I call it the 3 C's. Like, so, you know,
Okay.
And what we're looking for is collaborative. Ownership is, you know, the biggest challenge when you're leading teams and the biggest frustration is people just don't do the stuff. You're like, hey, have you updated Salesforce? Hey, have you made your dials today? Hey, have you taken ownership? Did you send that email? What, you know, why is that deal slipped? Did you take the next action? Did you send the proposal? Did you chase the proposal? Did you book a meeting from the meeting? Like, people just don't take ownership. So you need people who have that high degree of self ownership. This is my thing. I care. I get things done. You don't have to chase. Resourcefulness is people who often in a startup environment don't have the same resources as a big company. Maybe they don't have the defined playbook. Maybe they don't have the defined marketing pack for every single type of use case that they have as a business. Maybe it's not all figured out. Maybe they don't have the coloring in thing to go and color in. Maybe they have to go and innovate and come up with new ideas. So you want people who are problem solvers, who can take something that's not complete and then complete it. If something's broken, they fix it. If something's not built, they build it. If someone needs lifting up, they lift them up. If a customer's got a limited amount of resources, they help them find more. They're finders of resource, and they bring everyone to a different level. And then the last one, which is really interesting, is when I've done LinkedIn polls around this, the number one gap that people find hardest to hire is people who have a high degree of execution, a bias for action. We call it agency. And I'm going to give you a definition. I haven't learned this off by heart, so I'm just going to read it for you. But high agency describes a strong sense of self-direction and control over one's life and work, characterized by proactive actions, a focus on achieving goals, and a willingness to adapt to overcome challenges. Essentially, it's about actively shaping your reality and destiny rather than passively waiting for it to happen. That's what sales is. We get stuff done. They always achieve the result. Find a way or make one. So if you get those core 4 things, collaborative, ownership, resourcefulness, execution, you are a multiplier. If you miss one of those, you miss collaboration, you might be super driven, super resourceful. You take ownership, but you're working against the business to your own goal for your own reasons. You're a divider. If you're missing the ownership piece, you might have an adder who's good, they get stuff done, but you're constantly having to chase. They're not pushing for the next level. Maybe they're missing on resourcefulness and you're having to chase them and go, well, what about this new idea? What can you think about the bigger picture? And if you're missing all 4 of those things, you have a subtractor and you just need to cut them and get them out. So that's the multiplier matrix. And every business needs multipliers who multiply the impact of everyone around them.
That's really cool. And I don't know if you're watching this, you're seeing Richard right now jump up and down, looks very excited. I can just sense he's very passionate about it. And if you can't see us because you're listening on a podcast somewhere, you can probably hear just by his tone that he's pretty fired up about this. And I think it's really important because you hire the wrong person or the wrong couple of people in your business, in your sales organization, and it can have a terrible outcome.
It will.
Right? It can set you back a very long time. You'll like burn and churn a lot. And a lot of it's like it is avoidable, right? By having the right frameworks and tools in place.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. 100%. And the reality is if you hire some adders, like you can have adders in your team, they're fine. That you never fire adders. Keep them in your team. You know, they do the job, but they're not going to be the ones that multiply impact to people around them. So you don't make them your leaders.
Yeah.
An adder will never hire or develop and train a multiplier. So you need multipliers in your leadership positions, but adders are fine. Like you need those steady state players. That's great. But as soon as you put some subtractors and dividers into teams, people hate working with them. They create conflict. They create politics. They will kill like a cancer the business culture that you created. And they can take years to sniff out until you see the damage that they've done. People hate them. Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about this, you know, his golden rule, just don't hire dickheads, right?
Yeah.
And what that really means is people who just aren't aligned, coming back to that very first point. And if you've got a few subtractors in the team, which a lot of businesses do, which you could call like your B players and your C players, what happens is everyone else does the work for them. So your multipliers will spend all their time just clearing up the mess, or the managers spend all their time trying to coach the bottom 25%, and they don't spend the time working with the multipliers. So the multipliers could become disillusioned and then leave, or worse, become a divider. So it's not just like you hire a person and they are a multiplier for life. You can absolutely coach up adders. You can absolutely fix dividers because it's about alignment. And you can absolutely and constantly need to challenge your multipliers to achieve more because they're on a path for growth. This is why the 5 years experience of the previous role doesn't work, because no multiplier stays in a role for 5 years.
It makes total sense, and Rich, I think we have to come back and do a whole episode just on this, because this is stuff that I'm really passionate about as well. And I think, again, yes, it's a problem, but that creates a massive opportunity for a lot of organizations, right? And I think we could probably have a whole session on this. Before we kind of just get into some like rapid fire kind of closing questions here, I guess there's some content around this multiplier matrix that people can access, is there?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are someone who's hiring, there's a multiplier scorecard that you can go to multiplierscorecard.com, and you can work out what you've currently got on your team today and how ready you are to go and scale your business. And if you are someone who's looking for your next role and you want to work out how you can position yourself as a multiplier, as well as to qualify if the environment is conducive with you being a multiplier, how collaborative is the team, how much ownership do they want you to take, how resourceful will you get to be, then I'm working on a set of questions around that too. So maybe by the time this comes out, they will exist. If they don't, feel free to message me and I'll share some examples of things that you could ask.
Yeah, I would definitely check it out. I think it's, like I said, totally relevant. We'll definitely get you back, Rich, to do a whole session on that. But just conscious of your time, I know you're a busy chap. But I just want to close with some rapid fire questions, if that's okay. Are you ready?
Go for it.
All right. Biggest takeaway tip for an AE that's listening to this today?
Treat your career like a sales process. So constantly find the right challenges for you to work on, and then position yourself as the solution to those problems. That's for getting a job. If you're going to be in a career, in a job, then be a multiplier. Be very collaborative, take ownership, be resourceful, execute, and you will be very easy to lift and you'll take others with you.
Nice. And given how popular this thing is, if you're an AE and you're not a sales lead, I'd go and get a copy of this multiplier content, because then you can align well with it. And that'll only help you by putting your best foot forwards. What about your biggest takeaway for a sales leader listening to this today?
Hire multipliers. Don't just put a system in place that blocks people, talented people finding you. You know, if you put too many layers and too much process in front of people being able to get access to you, and you just push everyone back to talent and go through our process, it's like an ideal customer coming in. You're saying, sorry, you have to go and complete this lead form and speak to our SDR and have a demo before we can show you pricing. You might have the perfect person coming to you, just like take them while they're available. So make yourself super easy to connect with, and then hire multipliers and look for those core 4 characteristics.
Love it. And then last 2 questions. Do you think finding a job, or going out into the big bad world and being able to find a job, should be something that's taught at school?
I think there's loads of fundamental building blocks that need to exist for someone to be able to find the right challenges for them. Because I picked leisure marketing at university, right? And then I just went through this journey of realizing what I had to go and do to fill the skill gap that I had, which meant I wasn't getting the 30 grand a year salary, but my first salary was £7.20 an hour. I went through that journey. So I think that there's a whole piece around helping people to find their true strengths, helping people to find what they get fired up by and lit up by, like you said, where they will be a multiplier, and then creating systems and tools and training for them to go and be ready to actually go and get that opportunity when they find it. So I think it almost starts with self-awareness and discovery around where you're going to actually love what you do, because I think the sad reality is a lot of people who are in sales just ended up in sales and aren't particularly happy in it.
I agree. And I could make a fantastic workshop and exercise inside of the education system at some point.
Sure.
And that'd be really cool, that whole self-aware and discovery piece. And, I'd much rather have done that than some of the things that they sat you down and had you do.
Yeah.
And then look, just before we wrap up here, like if anyone wants to find you, follow you, that kind of stuff, access some of your content material, where can they go?
Yeah, so definitely LinkedIn would be the best place. I'm quite active on LinkedIn, so find me, Richard Washington, with the green tick next to my name. And yeah, check out the multiplierscorecard.com. And then we run our own podcast called What Makes You Tick, which of course, James, you have been on. So for me, that's a leadership enablement training program. It's a masterclass every week with some of the best experts in the world. So if you really love technology, you love sales, you love leadership, every week you're going to hear from people much smarter than me about how they achieve their career goals and what they care about most. So I'd follow What Makes You Tick, WMYT, on your favorite podcast platform.
Yeah, I would as well. Like I love a good podcast, like when I'm at the gym, or like I was driving down to my partner's parents for this weekend, and in the car 60 minutes is a perfect opportunity for me to do it. Unfortunately, a lot of podcasts are a bit of the same, and there's just something that's different about yours. So yeah, definitely recommend going and checking that out for sure. But look, Rich, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Really enjoyed this topic. I know we said we were probably going to make this a 30-minute session, and we've gone over slightly.
Maybe we should up.
But I think it's top of mind for a lot of people. It's highly relevant in the world that we live in today, and I think we could have spent just as much time talking about the multiplier matrix, and we'll definitely have to get you back to come and have that conversation. But have you enjoyed the session?
Yeah, you definitely got me in flow. So thank you. Great questions.
Good.
I love. We talk most days, don't we? Right, on WhatsApp and send
We
each
do.
other voice notes. So it's great to sort of like chop it up with you, mate. I would really
And
happy doing that.
we're eventually going to meet each other, which is bonkers because we've been talking for so long. We've had so many calls, WhatsApp voice notes every 5 seconds. We've never actually seen you in person. So I'm looking forward to doing that at the weekend as well, which will be good.
We'll find a spritz and some C.
I'll buy you a spritz for your time today. Absolutely. I'm sure that's a good way to pay you back. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and everyone, thanks so much for listening. Looking forward to bringing more value to you on the next session. So have a great rest of your day.